Kama as a child was kind of like a little cherub, and she seemed to wrap everybody around her finger without even trying. She just was this cute, defiant little chubby kid that everybody just gravitated to.
When did you realize something was wrong?
Actually, it was brought to our attention by her teacher when she was about 10 years old. The teacher came and talked to us and said, we've kind of noticed Kama's just a little awkward at playing ball and sports and stuff, and running. So they asked us, they mentioned to us that maybe we should have her checked out by a doctor.
I took her to the family doctor because if you threw Kama a ball, she would miss it. Like her hands would cross over instead of catching it. And it just kind of didn't sit right. So I was in Saskatoon by myself with her, and we were in one of the testing rooms, and the technician actually left Kama's file in the room. So the minute that they left, I was dove into that file right away and was reading through it, and his initial diagnosis was Friedreich's ataxia. So they were doing all sorts of tests to rule out Friedreich's, because there's no definite test that you can do to say that you have it. So we spent about 4 days doing tests in the hospital, and then on the fourth day, Dr. Lowry said he needed to talk to me. So they took and of course the U of S is a teaching hospital. Sorry, I get a little bit. He took me into a room with some interns and told me, and at that time, there wasn't a lot known about Friedreich's. So it was kind of a dark area, and it was a horrible time because I was by myself, and I just kind of went into shock because you're told that your little daughter is possibly not going to live long and never, gain this, walking and different things. She was going to lose all the abilities that she had. So it was really, after all these years, it's still hard.
It's like being hit over the head with a sledgehammer. Because when they first diagnosed her, they told her that she might only have 5 years to live. So that was very devastating to us. Like we thought our world was coming to an end.
Little child that we had that was, into everything and running and jumping and doing whatever was, slowly going to lose the use of her legs and her arms, and we didn't know how far it would go. So it was crushing for us.
You try your best to function every day with it, and she was a remarkable girl because she's so independent and so determined to, keep going as long as she can. So it kind of actually made it a little easier for us because she was so hard-nosed and determined to do things on her own.
As she slowly started to lose the use of her legs, it was tough for her because she was in the 13-year-old, 14-year-old stage, and it was tough. And there was very little help. Like everybody always says, there's lots of help around, and there wasn't. I had to go searching and looking for it because I'm the kind of person, I guess, a little bit like Kama. You don't settle for one answer, mediocre. You need to go and look and search, and so I did, and I found other parents with children the same age. It never changed our expectations for Kama. Kind of have a belief that you have choices in life. She didn't have a choice to have Friedreich's, and she didn't have a choice to have a disability, but she had a choice of what kind of disabled person she wanted to be.
I've known Kama for about a dozen years now. We first met, I suppose, I was working as a summer student at the Center for the Study of Cooperatives, and she was involved in a cooperative that she actually founded and applied and got a grant from the provincial government. Of course, she applied with a number of other people, but she was the driving force behind it. So she was a fascinating person for me, who was working as a summer student at the center, to get to know. One story I have about that cooperative, which was the attempt of that cooperative, was to build affordable and accessible housing in Saskatoon for people with disabilities, particularly people in wheelchairs, but with mobility issues. And it was based on the independent living model. But at one point during the life of the project, Kama had come to the conclusion that, because this was a home ownership model, she wanted to own her own home. Kama being who she is and always striving to do more, she wanted to be a homeowner. But at one point she realized that the co-op she founded to be an independent living cooperative, she could not participate in because she needed to move to an assisted living situation. And so we had a board meeting, and Kama said she had a speech to tell the entire board. And she started this, and she started to cry, even though she said she didn't think she would cry. But there was not a dry eye in the room, knowing that the person who founded the co-op was now withdrawing voluntarily because she couldn't use its services anymore.
She never quits. The little things that we take for granted, putting a piece of pizza to our lips. Sometimes she can do it and sometimes she needs help, but she's going to do it for as long as she can. And she has a fabulous drive for knowledge and a drive to stay independent as long as she can. For her to get an honors degree and then a master's degree and thinking of a doctorate now is just phenomenal.
She has an outlook on life that I find is more mature than a lot of us, myself included, in that I think very early in her life, if I could just hypothesize, she came to the conclusion that she has a certain limited lifespan, but we all do. Every single one of us. Hers is a lot shorter. But she's struggling with the same issues that every single one of us will struggle with. It's that she has to struggle with them a lot earlier. And she knows what's going to happen in advance in some ways. And she can deal with that. Whereas most of us are in denial.
There's not many people that can accomplish what she's accomplished and overcome some of the barriers and the roadblocks in place and still come out striving every day to be better and striving every day to maybe make a difference in somebody else's world and in their life.
I don't think I would last a day in the life of Kama Souls. But she doesn't complain. She struggles through, and she finds new things to keep her motivated and keep going forward.
Well, I think she's absolutely wonderful. I couldn't ask for a nicer daughter.
Knowing Kama and being around her has helped me grow as an individual in ways that she probably doesn't even know, and I probably don't even fully appreciate. And I think I often reflect on what my life would have been like not becoming as good of friends with her as I had been. And I don't think it would have been, I certainly don't think it would have been better. And I think it would have been a huge loss had I not taken the time and the decision at that point to be her friend and to commit to a friendship. And it is a commitment, becoming a friend with somebody with Friedreich's ataxia. Because if you're going to be friends with them for life, you are going to more than likely see them die. And that takes some commitment. But it's no more than the commitment you would make to someone else.
She inspires me every day just by the drive and the determination she has. And so she's made a huge impact on not only our life, but lots of people that she touches.